Space Station might have just gotten one of the biggest wins of the day. Because not only did they find themselves here, they just beat an OpTic Gaming 3-0. That just beat Gen.G. Yeah, lower bracket update for y'all. OpTic Gaming reverse sweeping Gen.G in the lower bracket to knock them out of this tournament altogether. So, as much as I might have been confident in FURIA before for winning against Gen.G, yeah, guess what? Space Station just beat the team that also just beat Gen.G. So, yeah, I don't know at this point. Everything turned on its head. This tournament's delivering more surprises than I could have ever expected.
That's why we host it. That's why, because the games are so close, and they're starting right now. FURIA versus Space Station. Let's get it going.
Right, let's get into this one. This is one that we are very excited about. Finally get to see some new faces on this broadcast, on the pitch in Space Station here, of course. Anyone in particular on SSG that, you had eyes on?
I mean, obviously the usual players to watch are going to be LJ and Arsenal. Most people have known this duo for quite a little bit of time, but you got to pay attention to their new third in Hawkster. Coming off of that Ghost Gaming roster, now into this new one with some fighting words, if you will. His initial debut onto the team was full of some very choice words in that debut video, which I loved because it kind of just stirred in the controversy and got the hype up. And as a result, Space Station with a lot to prove here. Players have wanted this roster to be ultimately successful for so long, but after the move to get LJ didn't necessarily prove as fruitful as expected. Daniel leaves, Hawkster joins in. Now people gotta wonder, do Space Station rise to the glory of before, or do they crumple underneath it? Only time will tell. Game number 1 in this best of 5, we're a minute in, and neither team so far have been able to strike. Almost ate my words, the Space Station launched another attack.
Yeah, trying to get that caster curse in motion already. It already happened to me earlier today, so I'm sure it will come into play for you at some point. Lost now, maybe making the play, doesn't get the double touch there. Hawkster is going to be able to push that away, but Yan has this on the recovery potentially. It's a beautiful save coming through out of Arsenal, who's going to be able to transition this one over to FURIA's defensive side. Can Carve navigate this one? Wins out on the challenge, gets it past the half-field line. A beautiful pass over to Yan. Can this be a goal? It doesn't get the double touch he was looking for. Space Station finds a clear.
Yeah, so far it's just been kind of a back and forth with both teams getting their hand at an offense here. Nothing really too threatening on target, but at least enough pressure that you could see a mistake. That could have been a mistake had not been able to get that extra touch. But led now to Space Station to maybe get a little bit of extra offense. That back pass at LJ, though, not as coordinated as he might have liked. So what could have been offense for Space Station now very quickly dissipates. As FURIA now get a chance the other way. 2:50 to go. Neither team been able to find the back of the net yet, but been close on either end. Space Station trying to keep it even closer. Touch off the ceiling. Arsenal denied by Yan. That might be their biggest issue here, is that Space Station, we haven't been able to see how this team has played here today, but we have seen FURIA, and we know for a fact that Yan is feeling himself. This guy has been a monster on offense all day, and defensively, they haven't missed a beat either.
Absolutely. Yan, and then, like I was calling out earlier, Lost was really popping off as well. Yan's getting the hat trick in a previous matchup against Gen.G, so has already really been feeling it here. Lost is going to find a demo on the backside. They are still on the defensive, though, so it's kind of imperative that they make sure to get this one out, and they are able to do that, turn it away from LJ. Lost now with the carry up and over, doesn't find the reset there. Hawkster dropping it down on the ground and then instantly getting demoed out by Card. Yan now has the chance for the shot, but Arsenal is once again in the perfect position to turn that one away.
Just barely turning it away. And speaking of barely turning it away, Hawkster, same idea there with a save on the line. And now, here comes Lost, taking it into his own half. Is he prepared for the eventual dive? Absolutely. Arsenal aggressive with his dive, which leads way to Lost. Gonna flip reset. One in net. Gan puts a shot on, and LJ turns it away. Space Station proving this is a team that people had questions about cohesivity, and they have shown so far they absolutely lack none of it. But passing plays for FURIA, just a little bit tighter. Breakaway, and this tiki-taka back and forth will work out for a goal.
And FURIA is so good at these transitions where they get it. It's not like a full clear, but it's a passing play from one corner of their defensive zone to the midfield, basically, and then you get the shot on goal. We've seen that so many times, at least we saw that so many times in the previous series that they played against Gen.G, and we're seeing it once again. They're going to secure the first, but Space Station is instantly going to pop back, and Arsenal will find one for them.
Oh, I'm sorry, I looked down at my notes to try and write down the last goal, and I look back up, and already Space Station have tied this yet again. It's a little bit of a defensive mishap there with Yan not getting a touch off the backboard, but good on Arsenal to punish within the blink of an eye. Means we got a tied ball game with just about a minute to go. Can Lost maybe try and prevent this going back in favor of Space Station? They almost launched into a second goal in a row, but instead, of course, Yan has perfect grip out at midfield here. The air drag going to be enough, and the flip reset after pulls LJ out of net. Now pulls Space Station into an awkward position as they try and clear it off the half. Hard on the sidewall, denied by Hawkster, but Hawkster's dropped down pass, a little bit too aggressive, so LJ can't keep in the air. Instead, he tries to take it to the corner where Lost is waiting, and a 50-50 finds its way only out to the hands of Card, who then finds it somehow back to Lost. 50-50s ensue. With under a minute to play, FURIA looking to gear up for their final offense of the day as Space Station just try and hurl one of these touches out towards midfield and over the heads of the defenders. Speaking of which, Hawkster, save on the line.
I gotta see the shot count right now for FURIA, because it has been, I mean, it's got to be close to the double digits there. There's been pop after pop, and Space Station has done a really good job. In particular, Arsenal, I gotta say, has really shown up in terms of sending those away, and there it is, not only as Arsenal, as I'm talking about him, he's like, yeah, you know what, you gotta talk about me a little bit more. With 10 seconds on the clock, he secures a goal for SSG.
And you can see there's just a little bit of hesitation. Lost pulls out of net. Card's not sure if he needs to jump into this one immediately and just kind of floats on the backboard. By the time he does realize he's got to make a save, Arsenal quick to punish. He's running an absolute muck on this front line. FURIA have been given very little space to breathe, and unfortunately for them, they've also been given very little time to respond. Last couple seconds of the game, here come FURIA, trying to keep this up. Lost to the corner. Yan out of the corner to Arsenal, who needs to spike this down. He's got zero boost, but he can at least glide it to the floor as Space Station survive game number 1 and will beat out FURIA.
That was pretty impressive. And you know, it was actually, I'm not gonna lie, that game went by really quickly. And it was, let's take a look. Okay, yeah, the shots, it was close. And the same number actually, or one more coming out of the side of FURIA here. So Space Station, hey, you know what? They found some really good plays. Like I said, Arsenal, for me, absolutely for that game number 1, MVP, had 3 shots, 2 of them went in, 2 saves, 2 demos. I mean, putting up numbers all over the place. Doesn't even need those assists, right? Because he got the goals himself. So FURIA now needs to really take a moment. Hopefully this small break in between games 1 and 2 will allow them to sort of recalibrate, right? Reorient themselves. Because it feels like we keep seeing these teams do really well, right? We see version 1 absolutely kick butt, and then the next series we're like, huh, what happened to that last version 1? We just saw FURIA absolutely kick butt, and now it's like, what kind of happened to FURIA that we saw in that last series? And can they recover that again, essentially?
Well, we're going to have to find out. Game number 2 here, this best of 5. Again, FURIA really do want to respond with a bang, considering the fact that Space Station just kind of barely eked by them there in that first game. Again, also FURIA, the first one to score goals in this series here, and then go down, giving up 2 in a row. So, momentum absolutely in favor of Space Station. It could be even further if someone can put a shot on. Hawkster will, the demo almost gives enough space as LJ went headhunting after that first shot. But it's actually going to lead now to even more offense. Here in the corner, though, Lost. Somebody's got to check him. He doesn't have a lot of boost in the tank, but he at least has enough to drag us out to midfield, where LJ will be waiting. Shot on target. Card barely turns it away. Lost meets with a 50-50 afterward. Space Station right now, overwhelming pressure. Again, people had questions about how this team would rotate around each other with their new third. The answer is beautifully. The shot's not as pretty, though. That one goes off target, and what should have been a goal for Space Station is going to fall to the wayside.
Yeah, that absolutely should have been a goal. They already had the defenseman for FURIA offset in their positioning, and that was just an unfortunate touch, not an angle that they were looking for. SSG isn't too phased by that one, though, of course. We're just a little over a minute into this game number 2, and they are still on the aggressive. They're going to turn it around, though, and FURIA finds the first goal of this game.
Hey, yo, Yan, come on now. This is just dirty. Mance puts a perfect touch on, slams this one on target afterwards. Can't really blame SSG for not putting a hand up here because they had about 0.2 milliseconds to even try and get a wheel in the way. So, SSG not quite able to hold on to their lead for more than a couple of moments, but can they gain it back? Arsenal flick high. LJ tries to get past the defender. The Lost able to get at least a 50-50, and same with Card here. here. FURIA definitely starting to figure out a way to manage this pressure that SSG are coming out with just a little bit better. We mentioned it before. If the solo play start working in favor of FURIA, SSG have got a whole new problem on their hands.
And that's kind of what I was looking for, right? I expect FURIA to be able to hit their stride here. It's the question I guess I had was how long until they do. And it looks like after that game number 1, they have decided that they're not going to take it anymore. FURIA at least has the one on board. And, you know, it is still Space Station with a lot more control and a lot more aggression on this series. FURIA has been finding these breakaway plays, and that's how they were able to get that first goal here. But it's looking better as time goes on in terms of the control that FURIA is able to provide here. And also show off really just kind of their solo play. Yan going for another one, finds the flip reset, finds another touch, and Card is going to secure that, puts them at a 2-0 lead over Space Station.
We rarely see double flip resets at this level, but of course it's Yan the one to do so. Baits out 2 defenders in LJ and Hawkster. Neither make a touch, and all it is Card with the final one here. Yan is Yan, and Yan is the man. He has continually shown why this player has been in top 5 conversations for players on the planet time and time again. Even if FURIA haven't necessarily been able to, as a team, show the results, Lost and Yan can still pull out plays like this any day of the week. It's 3-0 to FURIA.
This is what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh. And that's going to be 1 point for each member here. These angles, this is something that FURIA so far has impressed me with so much today. And it has almost every single time been Yan, and then occasionally it has been Lost that's been able to get those really narrow angles down, you know, when they're playing off of like a rebound or off of a double touch on the wall. So it's really impressive to see that FURIA has not lost that momentum, hasn't lost their stride, and now they're looking to secure yet another goal if they can keep this one on the offensive. It's a good push back, though, by Space Station. Still control in the hands here of FURIA, and in particular Lost, who's going to be able to get over that one challenger. Can't get it past the remainder, but they still have this one as an aggressive play. Yan maybe trying to drop this one down. Isn't going to be able to, and the rotation's back in play.
Still out at midfield, though, in favor of FURIA here over and over again. They're locking into flip resets like that, and although they can't utilize them to their fullest capabilities every time, they're at least getting those flip resets and threatening Space Station with these mechanics. Space Station have been good to meet a lot of these challenges with 50-50s, but it just feels like FURIA is just a bit quicker to the responses and are able to do a little bit more with the mechanics that they can display. Although, right there, it's actually Arsenal and I think LJ who are able to out-mech that midfield presence out of FURIA, and they turn it into a goal now because they need them in quick succession. 90 seconds to go. They need a goal now, they need a goal after, and they need another one just to send us to an overtime. And they're trying their darndest to do exactly that. LJ to the backboard, looks for another pass down. Hawkster's there, shot off target. LJ pass out, Arsenal to Hawkster, and not gonna make it. Lost denies it, and despite various efforts, Space Station still scoreless here in this second game.
I swear to God, Arsenal hit that and it like literally went the opposite direction. Like that did not make any sense right there. Luckily for, for Space Station, they are able to at least prevent another goal from going back in there, and that's going to be Arsenal who's in control. They're going to try to transition it over as we're down in the last 60 seconds, but once again, they cannot find any control. They're finding these clears, but they can't get the breakaway plays where they actually have some sort of ball control right now. So Hawkster looking for one right there, but it's still in the hands of FURIA. The challenge going a little bit in favor of Arsenal, who's trying to get this one out of the corner, and it's a good chance right there for SSG, but nobody was in the right position to take that shot. FURIA just pushing this one out.
Cool, but they're not pushing it past midfield here, so Space Station at least have a chance to maybe get a goal for the road. I don't know if it's going to change the results here whatsoever, but if they can get some momentum, it would be huge for them, especially considering that they really haven't had any momentum throughout this entire game. Over and over again, FURIA have been ready to meet the challenges out of the Space Station offense, while Space Station has barely been able to counter in the defense that they've needed to try and slow down FURIA, who have been more or less uncontested. It's looking like it's going to be a shutout. Like I said, maybe a goal to go, but it will not make a difference here. A Space Station do not respond the same as they did in the first game. FURIA figured them out. They've read them like a textbook. Now all that they need to do is study a little bit more, and FURIA can walk away and go to that upper finals.
And the exact thing that I hoped for is clearly what took place there. Take a moment, recalibrate, right? Reconsider maybe where FURIA was faltering in that game number 1. Now Space Station has to do the same thing, and hopefully it's not this back and forth. Hopefully both teams can kind of find their stride, because as of right now, Game 1, it felt like it was Space Station almost fully in control. That game number 2, FURIA pretty much completely in control there, especially if we look at the points and just the numbers across the board. So Space Station, hopefully, again, it's not a flip-flop and Space Station doesn't just take over on this one. I want to see the cohesion come through. I want to see Game 1 play out, I want to see Game 1 play here out of SSG and I want to see game 2 play out of FURIA finally coming together here in the third.
I got a lot of hopes. I got a lot of wants. I just don't know how many of these the players are actually going to be able to fulfill at this point, because it kind of feels like Spacestation, despite the fact that they've had so many different ways to approach this offense, so many different ways to try and maybe string some plays together and get that offense together, hasn't really worked out thus far. They've had a couple of opportunities, a couple of moments here and there, but it feels like FURIA have just been a little bit more poignant with their attacks, a little bit more lethal with their final touches. Their attacks overall just feel stronger. And that's not too unexpected here, as we came into this one heavily favoring FURIA on the desk, but it was after game number 1 where SSG showed they could keep it close that we started to think maybe this would be a close series. They got to reprove it again, though, here. After a game 2 overwhelmingly in favor of FURIA, it's up to SSG to respond, and they respond with an early shot. That one denied. How about the follow-up? Arsenal's there. Can't get it past the defenders, and SSG, despite various efforts through the first 30 seconds, still don't have a goal to show for it.
And no, honestly, I'm kind of disappointed in that shot right there. I mean, no patience coming out of Spacestation Gaming in terms of taking these shots, right? Take a moment. Seriously, that's, don't just knock it in. At least try to get it past one defender. If you're facing down 2 and you don't have a ton of momentum on that shot, it's not at a distance and it's not aerial, take a moment. I need to see that coming out of Spacestation, because it feels like Arsenal has just been making these decisions without actually considering them, and FURIA is going to take advantage of that. The rest of the team, however, I need to see a little bit more as well coming out of Spacestation in terms of their control, because when we do have shots coming through, when we do have these saves, it does seem like majority of the time it has been Arsenal who just hasn't been able to lock on the target acquisition. So FURIA still feeling pretty comfortable as of right now, because none of these shots coming from Spacestation are very calculated.
It definitely feels like Arsenal's in a similar position to Calm, to where he is a role player. He's a guy who does a lot of off-ball pressure, whether it's demos or really trying to disrupt the defense. He's been solid at that. It's been his mechanics that people have questioned over the last couple of seasons, but he can step up how he knows he can. He can do something special, similar to Yan stepping up on the line there. Beautiful save, and then even a transition the other way. Doesn't get past midfield, where Spacestation are starting to lock in. This is looking a lot more similar to before, but unfortunately, one breakaway and it could be a problem. Arsenal barely makes the save, and as soon as you're asking for him to step up, he does exactly that. But Spacestation need a little bit more if they want to try and take this series by storm. It's currently leveled at 1 apiece, but I do feel like if FURIA win this game, they're just going to run away with the series overall. Yeah, it certainly is feeling that way. Talking about that finding that footing or having really consistency. Spacestation, the fact that we haven't seen it in the first 2 minutes of this game now, definitely not what we wanted to see, because FURIA's recovery between games 1 and 2 was really, really quick. Spacestation needs to kind of provide that the same ability to adjust here on the fly, and it just doesn't quite feel that way. They are preventing FURIA from making some really solid aggressive plays, and they are actually finding at least clears that prevent this ball from staying on their side of the field. Nice flip set there that by lost, but a good save by LJ. So they've at least got their rotations on point at the moment. It feels good for Spacestation. It feels like they definitely have corrected a lot of the issues like you're speaking about here, but it just feels like they need to do more than correct issues. Something we spoke about earlier, and particularly with FURIA, is that you can't just be as good as your opponents, you gotta be better. And that is where FURIA impressed us, is they were starting to out-mechanic everyone on Gen.G, a team that is known for their cohesion. They're still stringing passing plays that are threatening Gen.G, in comparison to a Spacestation who are meeting the aggression out of FURIA and are starting to get dives like that out of midfield to work in their favor. When it comes time for them to put on better shots than FURIA put against them, it just doesn't seem to happen. So, with just underneath 2 minutes to play, can Spacestation dazzle us? Can they find that perfect shot that is going to get past the defense out of FURIA and give them the lead in this series? Starting to think not, because here come FURIA the other way. Flip reset in the bag out of card. He utilizes it off the ceiling. It drops down to Yan. Yan faking it out, though. This is what you talked about with that patience. Arsenal dives at it early, and he kind of just uses all of his boost. And with the 2 other players here for FURIA waiting in the wings, it's Spacestation now who are starting to look jumpy. And if they do this too much, that's going to be an opening FURIA will absolutely utilize and give themselves a goal from.
Now, they still have the aggression. They're still looking for all of these opportunities, and they've still pushed very far forward, because Spacestation's target acquisition hasn't been great. Oh my god, again, every FURIA, it's lost with these Yan, with these angles, man, these angles. Look at that.
He's diving at my 18th birthday, dude. It's been a long time since then, and he was up well before that. It is 1-0. FURIA have found themselves a beautiful pre-jump to get them that. bad. Less hesitation at LJ, and that's all it's going to take. Spacestation, unfortunately, now backs against the wall. This would be the second game in a row where a last-second goal is a absolute heartbreaker to them. Last time the results were already set in stone, but it kind of just stomped any momentum they were looking to build. Space Station do have at least a little momentum here, but they need solid shots on target. That one will not count, but the follow-up will. Soon as FURIA get their momentum, Space Station are there to quell it, and it's 44 seconds, a tied ball game in the third.
Finally, we've got another close game here. But 45 seconds, we've seen crazier things happen than a couple more goals be sunk in. So FURIA, if they want to try to get match point on this one and continue that momentum that they had after game number 2, they need to find something before overtime here, because Space Station definitely a team that can excel in overtime. FURIA maybe has a position here to try to find something to try to get that transition over to offense, but they're not going to find it there. That shot is going to be high. Card turns it away anyway. SSG still trying to keep this one alive. It does get past the midfield, and it's going to be followed up by Yan. No control, though, as we get down to the last 10 seconds of the game. We might see yet another overtime, which has been that has been our consistency for the day, is getting the opportunity to see how far into overtime both these teams can take us. And once again, we're going to see who's able to break this tie.
I really shouldn't be surprised at this point here. I think the biggest surprise for me, though, has been the fact that FURIA, despite now putting in solid opportunity after solid opportunity, Space Station, that never say die attitude, I have to commend them on it. Over and over again, they are meeting these challenges out at midfield. You would think they'd get hesitant due to FURIA finding these breakaway plays that are so threatening, but they continue to dive. They continue to press just as aggressively and match FURIA with every one of these approaches, and that is what you need to do if you want to beat FURIA. You have to beat them at their own game. You can't force this team to play slow, because when they do play slow, that opens up space that they take advantage of. You have to meet their aggression, have to meet their speed, and do it better than them, and they're doing a great job right now. Look at that cutout as the pass out of the corner from Lost does not connect. But this off the backboard. LJ's got to make a good touch. It's not a great one. It's into the hands again. And as Hawkster dives off the backboard, somebody's got to follow up this touch to get it past midfield. LJ kind of does. He gets the bump, but it's Arsenal who now collects it and sends it into the FURIA half. And they live there for more than a couple of seconds. Demos like that make me think so, as we're a minute removed in overtime. And it looks like Space Station are the ones in the lead as we go further into this OT.
Oof. Another good chance there. Hawks are able to find that 180 after getting the demo. Space Station still looking good on this play. They're maintaining the ball, keeping it on the FURIA side of the field. A nice little pop over Lost. They can find the double touch here, but no, it's going to be interrupted. Space Station now losing control of this one. FURIA manages to find themselves on the offensive. Lost with a nice little bump right there onto Arsenal. Card trying to find the double touch on the back wall there, but Hawkster is going to push that out, clear to the opposite side. That means that Yan takes control. He's going to try to play this one off the wall in the corner. Doesn't have an opportunity or a member to send that one down to. Space Station able to keep it out of the goal, at least for now.
You can see this, though. FURIA is starting to turn up the heat a little bit. I talked about how the speed that this team comes out with can catch a lot of teams by surprise, and it's starting to. Space Station double commits at awkward moments, and it will open up enough space that Yan can take advantage. I saw this one coming. Space Station did too, but they could do nothing but put their hands on the wheel and wait as a rocket goes on target, and FURIA take the lead in the series.
The lead in the series, and because we're still at best of fives, at least until the grand finals, have put themselves at match point as well. FURIA finding a lot of recovery. I gotta say recovery in that one. LJ had a great goal there. And look at the numbers of shots here. We're looking at 10 shots that actually came there out of the side. At least it's, 10 shots coming out of the side here from Space Station Gaming, and not any more than the one that LJ was able to lock in, actually secured. Arsenal, unfortunately, only there at 144 points. That's definitely not what we want to see here. We need a little bit more control, but Space Station, if they want to stay alive, if they want to continue in here, they gotta figure something out, because between like I said, games 1 and 2, it felt like FURIA reconsidered what they were doing, and they adjusted some things properly. SSG in between the last few games, there hasn't really been any sort of adjustment or growth, and that needs to happen because FURIA is going to just continue to use this momentum upwards.
Feels like FURIA have kind of figured out how to play this series, while SSG are still learning a little bit. They got a couple more classes to take before they can graduate from 101 and go to 102. Unfortunately for them, it doesn't necessarily feel like they're going to be able to do that with possibly only a game left. FURIA have continually turned up the heat here, whether it's dives that are starting to catch the defense off guard or it's solo plays with just the utmost mechanics. SSG have tried to counter that with some mechanical plays of their own, have tried to counter that with some more aggressive plays of their own, but unfortunately it just feels like FURIA, again, the little bit the wiser. Nothing has caught them off guard. Nothing has taken them by surprise. For in comparison, Card's going for touches like this and maybe catching SSG by surprise had that gone on target. Thank their lucky stars, SSG, that they're not down early. They might anyways. A bump there's gonna be enough. Lost credited with a goal, but it's Yan who does the heavy lifting.
Doesn't even matter. Lost and Yan have been so good today, and it has been these kinds of plays in particular. It's the one shot, and then is the one disruptive vehicle who goes in for the bumps on the defenseman, and it has been working wonders here for FURIA. So a very early goal for FURIA, and this one doesn't spell great things for Space Station, just because Space Station has been able to keep FURIA back at least for a while in the previous couple of games. And right there, things are going to get harder, as now, 30 seconds in, it's a 2-0 lead.
I will say this much. We have seen one thing in particular happen no matter the iteration of Space Station. It's a team that, unfortunately, when the going gets tough, it only seems to get worse for them. Their mental has been solid through times, but sometimes when the floodgates open, they don't quite have the keys to close it shut. It's a commonality around Space Station before. I gotta hope that today is a different story, though, because FURIA might have found 2 goals early, but I still believe in Space Station have the regain and take us to 5. The good thing is they've got plenty of time to do so, only 45 seconds in, and although FURIA, like I said, have found that 2-goal lead, hopefully Space Station can respond and at least try to build some momentum. Awkwardness out at midfield makes me think otherwise, as FURIA approach yet another offense here, only about a minute removed.
Not the best play. FURIA still holding a lot of control over the pitch. Nice shot. Zoom in there by Yan. LJ able to send it out. Hopefully SSG is able to find that one as 3 defensemen all aligned to the front center and back post. FURIA once again trying to get this one out of their side, and Space Station is not able to find the touches and the shots that they are looking for. Speed in favor of this blue side in FURIA once again. That's going to put them back on the offensive. Thanks to a big clear from LJ, though, maybe Space Station has the chance to find themselves an aggressive play. Arsenal's going to try to get it in the corner, but it's Lost who ends up regaining this one, sending it back to the orange side, and looking for the chance to take a shot here. He gets the pop, but it goes too high.
And Card out of midfield isn't even going to let this one turn into an offense for SSG there. He meets it with a 50-50, and although LJ does rip one just a little bit off target, it's exactly what FURIA are expecting. They know they are desperate to get offensive pressure together, so these heavy touches are going to allow one of the FURIA players to hang back just a little bit and sort of hold on to the control for as long as they need to. Speaking of control, Card here with overwhelming control, and Lost does them dirty. I'm so sorry, SSG, but oh my gosh, how do you let that happen?
The Card just stops there. Like, you got this, Lost? Yeah, you got this, Lost. No worries. He almost didn't have it. Yeah, he almost didn't have the angle on that one. But hey, I've talked about patience a lot today, and FURIA has shown us so much patience, and it pays off. If you are in an opportunity to where you can take a shot like that, you can make something turn in your favor. Hey, a 3-0 lead is nothing to scoff at, and we're almost halfway now through regulation time. Space Station, that window for them to be able to stay in this upper bracket is getting narrower and narrower. However, if they fall, they are not out of the tournament, because we are, like I said, still in the upper side.
Unfortunate thing for them is that they might have to have another date with Destiny here with an OpTic that has been just tearing through the lower bracket. I don't have confirmation on this one, but I'm hearing that it's potential. V1 might have just lost OpTic as well, and that's a V1 that nearly perfect swept FaZe. So SSG, if you do lose this, your options are, well, you have to beat FaZe, and then if you can beat FaZe, you're most likely facing an OpTic that is on an absolute revenge arc right now. So SSG, I think the reality is you got a date with Destiny, a rematch that could be on your hands, because it's 4-0 to FURIA, and they have no signs of slowing down.
Not only no signs of slowing down, but Space Station unfortunately has no signs of trying to keep this one alive, or even being capable of keeping this one alive. That capacity not able for them right now. FURIA just so on point. And against Space Station, it feels, at a situation like this, you have to consider the mental of this team. Do they think that they're still capable? Do they think they have that capacity? Or is this something where they're just kind of giving up? Clearly they're not going to give up. They're going to at least put 1 point on the board. But can they do more than that? They've got 2 minutes. That's plenty of time.
Yeah, this is very much an LJ type of play here. That is why they got this guy in the first place, is for mechanics like that. Touch off the ceiling into a flip reset immediately and puts it on target. The unfortunate reality, though, as pretty as that goal is, it's only a single goal. They got 3 more they need to do just to send us to an overtime. And considering that FURIA seemingly want another for the road, oh my goodness, Card sets up Lost. This is off the bar. It could have been a 5th goal. But I guess the doors are at least a little bit open here. Do Spacestation have copies of the keys? Yan seems to think not. He's going to quickly turn that one away and out of midfield. Lost will rip one to the backboard. Is he there for the follow-up? He almost was. But even if they're not there for the goal, they're there to waste time. Under 90 to play, and unless Spacestation can find a miracle, I think they're going to have another date with destiny, like I said, in that lower bracket.
Yeah, well, if they're looking for a miracle, they better get praying, because right now they have 75 seconds about until this series is over. And like you said, FURIA is not showing any signs of slowing down. Spacestation, they're trying to find some room for themselves. They keep finding these good aggressive plays, and they keep committing 1 to 2 members for it, trying to look for these passing plays. But FURIA is just way too quick to respond and then follow up on the ball and be in the exact position they need to reinforce their own plays. Time ticking down, things looking dire for Spacestation.
It just kind of feels like Spacestation have been trying to fight the inevitable throughout this entire game. They knew what was happening. They saw FURIA with momentum and were hoping to slow them down, but very few people can slow down FURIA. The only people who can, I guess, is all of North America. But outside of that, very few people have been able to slow down FURIA, especially not here today, because it looks like they're going to have a date with some of their South American brothers in that upper bracket final. Complexity versus FURIA, looking to be the battle that we've all been waiting for. And I'll be the first to say, it was not the one I was expecting for our upper bracket final.
Certainly not, but you know what? We were at least all correct in terms of our prediction on this one. First time so far today that has happened out of the 4 series where we actually have predictions correct across the board here. So FURIA feeling really good. Going to continue on here in the upper bracket. That means that we're going to send Spacestation Gaming down to the lower bracket, like you said, to face off against FaZe. OpTic running a tear down through that bottom side, so we're going to have to see how they're able to play up against that. But FURIA, I mean, this is exactly what we wanted out of this team, and this is exactly what we knew could be expected from this team.